Today we're going to talk about the 5 components of health. The 5 components of health are muscle strength, muscle endurance, flexibility, body composition, and cardiovascular fitness. Those 5 things tell you how fit you are. Most people are not good in all 5 areas. There are even professional athletes who are not that strong in all 5 areas of the 5 components of health. So you could be a professional athlete, honestly, not be in great shape, because those 5 things explain what kind of great shape you're in overall health. Now I'll explain what I mean. There's a person that say the world's strongest man, Eddie Hall. He is a huge guy. He focuses on one of those components. He wants muscle strength. Therefore, he eats 12,000 calories a day. He weighs over 300 pounds, and he can lift more weight than any human being in the entire world. But because he's so big and he's so strong, do you think he's great at running a mile? You think he can run a mile even as fast as you can? Definitely can't compete against Olympic mile runners. Body composition. That means body composition means like how low a body fat you have compared to muscle. Muscle you have, so if you have great body composition, you have way more muscle and a lot less fat. Sure, Eddie Hall has a lot of muscle, but because he's eating 12,000 calories a day, he does also have a lot of body fat. His BMI would be obese, actually morbidly obese, since he's way over 300 pounds at probably 5'11" or 6 foot tall. But he's not worried about that. He's worried about being one thing, and that's being the strongest man in the world. Do you think Eddie Hall is super flexible? Do you think he can put his hands down the middle of his back from reaching behind? Do you think he can do the splits? I don't think so. Muscle endurance, he's probably got decent muscle endurance because he works on muscle strength all the time, but he's not going to have amazing muscle endurance. I'm sure he could do a lot of push-ups, but not as many as someone who's much smaller who trains could do. So there you go. Now the other extreme would be a marathon runner, a champion marathon runner, or we call it an Ironman. If you ever heard of the Ironman, those people, the race they do is crazy. They actually swim for over 2 miles, then get out of the water, and then they ride their bike for over 100 miles, then get off their bike, and then they run a marathon, which is 26 miles. They are cardiovascular fitness freaks. Not too many people in the world could do what they do, especially some of them are doing it in less than 8 hours, the best in the world. It's amazing. But to be so good in cardiovascular fitness, a lot of those guys have to give up their muscle strength, and they're going to lack in that area. They're going to be very fit in cardiovascular fitness. They're going to have great body composition. If you're training like that, you're burning so many calories. I don't care how much you eat. It's going to be hard to become overweight. The flexibility is probably pretty decent, even better if they train for it. And muscle strength, probably not that good, but decent. And muscle endurance is probably pretty good. So they're more overall fit, but they're going to be way more fit in the cardiovascular fitness area. The sports who have the best in all 5 areas of fitness is actually swimmers and tennis players. They're normally overall more fit in all the areas of all 5. And not surprisingly, if you look them up for longevity of life, those types of athletes tend to live longer than any other athlete. Basketball players, soccer players, they live around the same as a normal human being, or maybe a little bit longer. But check out football players. The average life expectancy isn't very high. It's up like 52 years old. That's very young. And that's because a lot of those guys, again, are like Eddie Hall, the linemen. They're just worried about eating a lot of calories, being real big and real strong. And in reality, if you're 300 pounds, it doesn't really matter if you're overweight with fat or it's muscle. It's going to put strain on your heart. It's a lot of weight to carry around, especially if you're older and you're in your 50s and 60s. So that's why you should work on all 5 areas of health to be overall healthy. If you are training for a sport, like say football, or you want to be the next world's strongest man, it's going to be different. But just if you want to look for health itself, train for all 5 areas. How do we train for all 5 areas? Well, muscle strength, for younger people, I wouldn't worry about muscle strength as much. Muscle strength is something you can do by picking up something one time. Even older people like me, I'm 44 years old. I don't really care about how much I can pick up one time anymore. When I was younger, I used to do that stuff for fun, but it's not important for me. So at your age, for younger people, I wouldn't worry about that. But definitely muscle endurance is something you can work on. Muscle endurance is how much endurance your muscle has. For an example, someone who can do 10 push-ups only does not have as much muscle endurance as someone who can do 100 push-ups. Same as sit-ups. If you can only do 10 sit-ups, you do not have as much muscle endurance as someone who can do 100 sit-ups. So yes, it doesn't matter what age you are, you could work on muscle endurance. I would love to see you guys work on your pull-ups, your push-ups, your sit-ups, your squat jumps, things like that. The more you can do, the better your muscle endurance. And guess what? Your muscle strength 100% will go up working on muscle endurance. So that's why I wouldn't even worry about the muscle strength part, but focus on muscle endurance. Increase all those numbers. Flexibility. You could watch the cool down video I made, and that's a great video for you to work on flexibility. Flexibility is range of motion. The more range of motion you have, the less chance of injury, and the greater movements you'll have throughout your body, so it'll help you out in life or any sport you do, and overall health. Body composition. Body composition, when you're working on muscle strength, or you're working on muscle endurance, or you're working on cardiovascular fitness, all these things burn calories. Body composition, like I said earlier, is how much muscle you have compared to fat. It is better to be leaner with less body fat for overall health and fitness. So when you're working on all these things, going for a jog, doing your push-ups, doing your sit-ups, doing your pull-ups, doing your jump squats, doing your lunges, all these things burn calories. All these things help increase lean muscle mass. Therefore, all these things will help you get a better body composition. And lastly, which is probably the most important, is cardiovascular fitness. Cardiovascular fitness is the strength of your heart and your lungs. It's very important because you only have one heart. Keep it strong. To work on cardiovascular fitness is doing exercises that you can do for more than 20 minutes without stopping. For example, you should be able to jog slowly for at least 20 minutes. That would be considered cardiovascular fitness. If you cannot jog, then you can walk and jog and walk and jog and walk and jog for 20 minutes. Eventually, keep practicing that, you will be able to jog for 20 minutes. But walking itself does work on cardiovascular fitness. Riding your bike. You could ride your bike for 20 minutes. Riding your bike for 20 minutes does work on cardiovascular fitness. You could go swimming for 20 minutes. Any of these things you can do for 20 minutes or more. You can play a game of basketball for 20 minutes. You can play soccer for 20 minutes. So all these things that you do for at least 20 minutes really improves cardiovascular fitness. For overall health for cardiovascular fitness, I recommend 20 to 40 minutes of cardiovascular activities 3 days a week. Could you do it every day? Sure. Cardio is something that you can do every single day. So I hope this video helps. I hope you work out all 5 components of fitness. And after this video is over, go ahead and do some exercises. Have a great day. Thank you. Bye.